Hello and welcome to the Elder Wand, a Harry Potter podcast. I'm Matt.
And I am Ezra, aka Professor Kirk. Welcome to our Harry Potter book club. Today we are covering The Sorcerer's Stone, Part 6, Chapters 16 and 17, which, my friend, is the end of Book 1.
Yeah, as you know, it's kind of cool how we're doing this. I think going through the Harry Potter books, we're going through a little bit of a sort of faster pace, right, than doing like a week by week, chapter by chapter. I kind of like doing it in blocks so you get into it a little bit more, especially with these early chapters in the book, because it's they're in like they're so short, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're shorter, they're not as big,
Not
and
as
some of these, especially
intense.
the
Yeah.
earlier books when you're talking Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets and all that. So yeah, it's definitely I think a better way to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. For me, I mean, it's like, they're kids' books, and like they kind of grow as we go through the series. So, as you've said before, we've done 6 parts for this first book. We might go to 8 later on, but I mean, I feel like around 6 to 8 parts per book is going to be nice. And it's just sort of a nice way to go back and re-experience the series. And this has been great too, because the timing for this podcast and for us in general, just getting back into Harry Potter, right around the Fantastic Beast Fantastic Beast 3 coming out, which takes us kind of into our Potter news, which is that show's coming out. That movie's going to be out here soon, man, before we know it.
I know it's so weird because it's just the marketing for it hasn't been as sort of big, I think, as I thought, right?
Yeah.
It feel I don't know, it's so weird because I just feel like this should be a huge movie, but it
Right.
just doesn't feel as big as some of the stuff that's sandwiched around it, which is like the Batman and the Doctor Strange movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that's why. Maybe it's just its sort of release window where it just I don't know, you think this would be like this is a new Harry Potter movie. It should feel bigger. And this is probably going to be the best Fantastic Beast movie.
Yeah.
To be honest, because you and I think both on the same page with the first two that were like, they're okay.
Right.
Not as good as any of the original 8 movies. But yeah, so I don't know, it just feels maybe it's getting lost, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. We actually have an email here from Will, just talking about how there's a lot that's gone on with this, that there was
Johnny
issues
Depp
with,
thing.
yeah, that, and then COVID and all these different factors that really feel like they've affected the film. The actress Catherine, I think it's Waterston, maybe, is that her
Mhm.
name? Giving birth to her first child, and then some of the other factors surrounding J.K. Rowling. Like there's things that are really affecting this film. I was listening to MuggleCast, actually, a podcast the other day, that they were on there saying like they're gonna watch it once and done. They're not gonna support it as much and all these different things. So you've got a lot of different factors, I think, affecting this, and it's just kind of strange, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people worked on this film, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's meant to take people into a fantastic kind of to teach kids stuff and all these different things, and it just has all this serious stuff kind of floating around it that makes me go like, that sucks, right? But
Yeah. I'm looking at where it's at, right? So it comes out April 15th. Um Man, I don't mean to be mean or anything, but I don't think this movie is going to do that well in terms of box office numbers. Now, some of that is COVID because COVID is still affecting movies. Some of it also is movies aren't able to be released in like Russia right now, which is also sort of affecting some of the box office numbers. Like even the Batman, you would think would hit $1 billion. It might just fall just short of it, especially because HBO Max has that 45-day window
mhm.
where then it 45 days in the movie theater and then it hits the HBO Max. So then it's really going to sort of drop off. But I mean, so you look at what's in theater right now. So you have what's today? Today's the 27th. So there's nothing really, I would say, like the Batman is still kind of like the thing. Uncharted is still kind of out there a little bit. But your next sort of big movie is Morbius, which is the new Spider-Man movie. Although all the reports and indication of that is that it's an absolute train wreck.
Right. Yeah. I've been hearing
Yeah. I
too.
mean, everything about it says it's going to be bad. April 8th, you have Sonic 2, which Sonic the Hedgehog was the highest grossing movie of 2020. Okay, so let's give that movie its credit that it deserves. High,
Mhm.
I mean, so that's the next week. So that'll still be in theaters when Fantastic Beasts comes out, which is April 15th. And then just about 2 weeks later, you've got the Doctor Strange movie, which is just gonna crush, because some people will be like, I haven't been to the movies in a while. You go
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
some of that tail off. So it's really only got about 2 weeks to itself to kind of grasp its footing there. So I don't know. And then it's gonna fall into the HBO Max thing. So I don't know. I don't know if any of the Fantastic Beast movies have ever crossed the $1 billion mark, but I certainly don't think that this one is going to be one to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, I don't know. There hasn't been much promotion for it too, as you said. It just feels kind of weird. Like it's just we're gonna take off with that it's a Fantastic Beasts movie. The Harry Potter fandom's gonna jump in there behind it and everything, but it just feels different. And maybe it is
Mhm.
because of what you always talk about, like the things that are going on with Warner Brothers and stuff like that. Maybe there's some of
Right.
that stuff happening right now where they're just kind of like, ah, it's in a weird place.
They just announced that like yesterday, by the way, or like on Friday, what it's going to be. And I think actually it's like April 15th is the day that like the transition happens
That's
from
crazy.
from Warner Brothers being owned by AT&T to Warner Brothers Discovery, which is going to be the new
Yeah.
channel. So if you go back and look, I've got it pulled up here. Sorry, I just did. So Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, budget of around $200 million, made 814 million, which is like, okay, that's good, right?
Right.
Crimes of Grindelwald, budget 200 million, made 654. So that's still like, it's a profitable movie. Like it's going to be, it's going to be very solid. It's going to do very well, but that's a drop off of around $200 million. So my guess is this one, with the HBO Max coming in 45 days, the
Right.
fact that you can't see movies in Russia right now, and then also like that it's only really got 2 weeks before Doctor Strange comes out, and you've still got like, you'll still have hangover from probably a little bit of Morbius and Sonic. I think this movie's only gonna make like $500 million, which then it's like,
Right. Yeah, that's kind of I yeah, I don't expect it to do well. I see this one of those things where I'm just gonna go in and enjoy it because I love this stuff. I want to see more magic, more powers, more spells, more whatever. And I just almost feel bad when stuff like this happens because there's so many people who work on it and these actors are great. The actors are wonderful. The people working on the film, it's cool. It doesn't have that same Harry Potter kind of hit, which is
Right.
why I think later on we are going to get an announcement. I think we are going to get a series of some kind, and they're going to bring it back with a new, uh, like a new flair. But the problem I worry about, even with something that when you want to continue Harry Potter, anything that comes out, it's got this weird kind of cloud around it of like people feeling like they can't support it, but yet there's still
Right.
podcasting content creators out there covering the books. You know what I mean? And
Right.
talking about Potter. Why can't we celebrate new stuff that's coming out as well too? And the people who are creating those things. Let me just shift gears here for a hot second. I think in the last episode we said so. Catherine, I think it's
Water.
yeah, Waterston. Yeah,
Right.
is if they say this is again Screen Rant, but people have gone back and forth about this as to whether or not she's going to be in the film. There's reports that she didn't want to be in it, that it was some sort of protest or whatever. I don't think that stuff's true, Matt, because that stuff's been going on with J.K. Rowling for
Right.
several years now. And she was in the last film, and then I think it's like she Will here actually sent us this email where he was basically saying that there's three factors. Firstly, she gave birth to a child in mid 2019. Secondly, filming started September 20th through the February 21st. It's delayed due to COVID, and then she was sick for part of the filming, maybe with COVID and stuff. So who
I
knows? And
gotcha.
then, but Screen Rant and other places, and again, it's Screen Rant. We always caution people with this, but they're
Right.
saying it's somewhat confirmed that she is in it in a minor way. I was super
Yeah.
disappointed to hear that maybe she wouldn't be in it because of some protest or whatever. I mean, not because I'm against her protesting it or whatever, just because I want to see her because I think she's a good actress and I like the character and the relationship with Newt. I mean, really, that's why I
Yeah.
want to continue to see her in it. And so yeah, and it's just like everyone else is still returning for their roles, so I didn't see any of them.
Yeah, she's listed on in Wikipedia as being part of the cast, so we'll have to see. I mean, maybe she's just not, maybe it's just gonna be a smaller role in this movie.
Yeah,
She's not in it as much.
yeah. So, anyways, that's cool. I'm just hoping that that she's in it to some degree because that's such a cool thing. Jacob and Queenie, and then Tina and Newt. Their whole relationship, this whole dynamic has been really fun to watch. It's been the best part actually of the Fantastic Beasts for me. The whole Dumbledore thing. I think Matt and I, we've talked, and it's been kind of like, give us more of like Jacob and Newt and Tina and Queenie. Like we don't really, Dumbledore. Hey man, you had your time. Okay, now he's gonna be cool, but it's just like that's not what's getting me into this. And I know the secrets of Dumbledore is cool, learning more about this relationship. But if that's all it was, and it didn't have a big element of Newt and Tina and Jacob and Queenie, then I'm kind of like, all
Out.
right, yeah, I don't know. I'm not as into it because the reason you like the Lord of the Rings films and the reason that you can connect to the hobbits. The hobbits were that grounding kind of factor. Luke Skywalker is that character who's a farm boy who is going in with these wide eyes and looking at this big galaxy that he's going to go into. You need some of that like Harry Potter when he first goes to Hogwarts, right? He's this he didn't know.
Relatable characters.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like if we're just getting all this stuff with them, it's going to be cool and it's hyped and everything, but that's why Jacob, I'm so glad that he's still going to be a big part in this and give him a wand and all that kind of stuff. It brings that element that I think we're going to really like. So,
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll see how it ultimately does. I mean, to be honest, it could be that the first two movies also just aren't that good. Like if
yeah,
if the reviews for this come out and everyone says, "Oh, it's amazing," which is so weird because there's been like, it seems like just nobody's really talking about it, which is maybe telling of it. But I mean, even Morbius, which isn't out yet, everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's awful." All the reviews and everything, like it's a terrible movie. Whereas this Harry Potter movie, we just haven't heard about it. So maybe it's just because don't know. But another little bit of Harry Potter news, right? Is God, the new movie or the new video game.
Oh
Excuse
my
me.
gosh. Yeah.
Hogwarts
So cool.
Legacy. That thing looks way cooler
Yeah.
than I think we ever thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, 100%. I cannot get over the moment where we both saw the herbology professor and we lost our minds about that. That was just so funny because I think I started to say, "Is that a student? Is that like a student?" And then you were like, "Is that the professor?" Like, this is so funny.
we do have a TikTok on that one. You can definitely, and I think I posted it on our YouTube channel as a short as well. So definitely, yeah. But no, that game looks freaking awesome, and that's coming out towards the end of the year. And as an our, we're gonna be playing that. I don't know. I don't know if they said anything about multiplayer or whatever, but I have to assume there is.
That would be really cool. I hope so. I really hope so.
Just give us Quidditch. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Madden is so terrible this day. I can switch my sports gaming to Quidditch. Give us a 5-on-5 online Quidditch game. Be sweet.
Right. That would be absolutely sick.
That sounds like an esports mega hit.
I know. Again, Matt sits on these. He says these things, and I don't know if people are listening or not. But like,
I'm just angling for a job at Warner Brothers. I don't know how. All I do is talk about Warner Brothers, whether it's Game of Thrones or DC Comics or Harry Potter. I don't know what they're doing, why they won't hire me. So maybe this new leadership, hopefully one of those guys, who's a higher up, listens to the podcast and like, we need to hire this guy because he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's exactly right. Because people would go nuts for that. I think not just a mobile game. We're talking like a big, fun, get out there.
Put it on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, which apparently the Hogwarts Legacy game is coming to Switch.
Oh, really?
I don't even know how it's going to run it, but okay. So there is going to be a Switch version as well. So sounds like as you're buying a Switch version, for
Yeah,
Lottie to play,
absolutely am.
and then you're
Absolutely.
getting it on PC for you and me to play.
That's right. Yep, I think it's exactly what's happening. Well, yeah, that's fine. That means I don't have to get the PlayStation 5 or whatever,
Right,
which you can't get
right.
anywhere. So,
You can't find them. Yeah, so no, you just get it on
good, good.
PC. I'll get it on PC. We'll play. And then let me look that up. Is there multiplayer?
Yeah, I don't know, because I was asking you, like, are you gonna go into Hogwarts and it's that open world thing where like, you're gonna see other people running around, like
Oh, it's
completing
not.
missions and stuff?
No, it's a single, it's a standalone person game.
Yeah,
So you could
interesting.
get it on PS4, I suppose, if you want.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm excited. I think it'll be so. Is it though that you can like when you go to Hogwarts, you'll see other people with like running. You know how we go to the tower in Destiny,
Yeah.
or like
Well,
you.
I don't think it seems like it's just a game. It's like they're
Okay.
just NPCs. It's not going to be online
Okay.
people
Got it. Okay.
playing.
It would just be cool because I know you can like in the Old Republic. I was playing it the other day, and you when you go in, I'm completing my own story mission, doing my own thing, but there are other people running around too, completing their stuff, and you come across
Right.
them, and it's just like, oh, that's cool,
Yeah,
Um,
no, I think it's going to be more like it's just a standalone, adventure like
yeah,
if you're playing Zelda, or something like that where it's just you're not playing online, but just
right,
yeah.
yeah, okay,
Okay, all right. Well, let's dive into a read through here, which is a reread here. So this is going to be chapter 16 of A Sorcerer's Stone and chapter 17 of A Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone for those of you over there in Europe. And these are the last two chapters. So starting off here, chapter 16, Through the Trap Door. So the students begin their exams. Hagrid lets it slip how to control Fluffy. Harry, Ron, and Hermione try to warn Dumbledore, but he has been summoned away. Fearful that Snape is about to make his move to get the Philosopher's Stone, Harry, Ron, and Hermione decide to go after it themselves. Under Harry's invisibility cloak, they make their way to Fluffy, lull him to sleep, and go through the trap door, past Devil's Snare, a giant wizard's chess set, and a potions riddle. So, gotta say, this is actually one of my favorite parts of like the movie. I think the movie did
hmm
sort of a cool job. And it's definitely one of those like kind of like funny, iconic moments, right? Where Ron is playing wizard's chess and it's no
oh yeah,
Harry, it's just
oh
like the way he
yeah,
says it, like as a kid, like
right,
you have to be the one to
right,
do this.
not me, not
You
Hermione, you, yeah,
it's he's got like the thick accent.
oh
It's
yeah,
so good. It's so good.
yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, this is great. There's also that great moment in early on in chapter 16 through the trap door. There's that great moment where Hagrid they go to his hut and they kind of learn that he's the reason that or he
Mhm.
said something right in getting Norbert the dragon he let loose that I just told whoever this mysterious figure was that you just got to play him a bit of music. He was interested in Fluffy. He had been drinking. He's trying to get this dragon egg, and then he drops that how to kind of get past Fluffy, and it just it's just a funny moment where in the movie and in the book, it's just I shouldn't have said that, and then boom, they're running out the door uh, to go make a
Yeah.
report on all of this. What's crazy
It
is that they're right, actually. Like there is someone trying to sneak in there and get it. It's
right.
not Snape, but it's Quirrell, so we sometimes I think you and I are like, "Ah, this is ridiculous," but hey, they're onto something and the professors aren't.
Yeah.
So,
That's because the professors are doing things like this. This is cool because again, I think sometimes you forget about like when you think about Harry Potter and you think about it sort of as a whole, you kind of remember like the big, like sort of Hogwarts moments, right? Like the sorting hat and like anytime they're at the table, like eating or any of that kind of stuff. You kind of forget about some of these cool little like lines like here. Like so right at the beginning of chapter 16, they're talking about here, right? They get the quills, right? With the
mhm,
special quills for the exams that have been bewitched by an anti-cheating spell. And then it's never brought up ever again. But it's just
mhm,
one little line, and it's just so sort of cool that it's like just some of that cool world building that's done here. They had practical exams as well, right? Flitwick calls them in one by one to see if they can make a pineapple tap dance across a desk. McGonagall watched them turn a mouse into a snuff box. What is a snuff box? Is that a what?
a
What
s
is a snuff box?
A snuff box? Like it's I'm thinking snuff. I'm thinking like
Points were given away for how pretty the snuff box was. Is that like what they say is tissues over there in England? That's my guess. Is it like a tissue box?
yeah, containing snuff, a mixture of ground tobacco and scented oils. I
Oh,
don't know.
like snuff.
That's what I was saying. Snuff, like highly decorative and valuable objects. So they would take the snuff box and it became a fashionable type of thing where you would, after it was used, they became kind of collector's items later in the
Hold on a
19th
second. Hold on.
century.
Are they're turning it into tobacco?
I don't
What
know.
are they doing
What
at
is going?
Hogwarts? What are these professors doing at Hogwarts? They're having like first year students make
Hold on.
cigarettes. Something's hold on. That can't be right.
What is a
What is a
snuff
snuff box? We
box?
got to look this up.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's this decorative box. It has more than just functional. It's decorative. It's artsy.
Holding snuff, a scented, powerful tobacco. That's what they're doing.
So people started collecting them because
what are they doing at Hogwarts?
Well, I don't know. So the thing is, I get, you're trying to make this pretty decorative box, but I guess at the time they weren't being used more for snuff; they were more for collecting items. But originally, Matt, they contained tobacco. Okay. And I feel like by saying tobacco on our TikTok live, we're gonna get flagged here
we're definitely gonna get flagged over
for
here
drug use.
As we're doing this, by the way, yes, we're gonna be starting to do pretty much all of our podcasts live on our TikToks. You can follow me obviously at Super Games Bros and Ez on TikTok at Hyperspace Hangout.
Yeah, man.
But
that's crazy.
Well, this is the thing. I like to keep track of all the times they do some shady stuff at Hogwarts, and this is one of them.
Yeah, what? This is interesting. They actually also snuff boxes is another kind of like spot in your thumb. It's a crook in your thumb too, where you could let's see I don't know, man. I typed in what is a snuff box, and I'm also seeing these things where I'm guessing they're describing this little nook in your thumb or whatever, right here on the where it touches the elbow. They call that also the snuff box. Maybe it's because you're doing one of these. Maybe you're putting a little. I don't know, man. I have no idea. Doing? I have McGonagall was, maybe she. I don't know. That's interesting. I think it's because they're supposed to be pretty and decorative, and so that's kind of cool. Hey, but anyway, there's also, as you were about to mention there, the Snape has the Forgetfulness Potion.
Yeah,
that seems like a pretty useful potion if you were gonna, I don't know. If you needed to use that, maybe that's something that comes up in Hogwarts Legacy. You get, the forgetfulness.
Why would you need it? Why would you need a forgetfulness potion when? This is where I got to give. This is where I got to give points to Lockhart. Lockhart just has a spell. He's like, I don't need to make a potion.
That's true. He's just totally, obliviates their memory. It's like, sorry,
right.
I'm not taking any chances.
I mean, right. According to Gilderoy Lockhart, I mean, he might be the best wizard ever. I mean, he's like. Why would you use? I guess you could use a potion to be deceitful about it. Oh, you slip it in somebody's drink, but what's better, a spell?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I don't think because that might wear off. That potion wears off, and you start thinking, "Didn't I do something epic?" And some other guy's writing about it, and you read about it, and you think, "I remember doing that. This guy stole that from me."
Yeah.
So he totally just obliviates him. Yeah, but. Anyway, you're right, though. That's kind of the cool thing about going back through this is seeing little things like that, because it's all about the exams, just the nervousness around it, how to prepare for it, the anti-cheating quills, all those different things are happening. And that's the ins and outs, the day in, day out of Hogwarts that we love, which is why we're so excited for the Hogwarts Legacy game. But their very last exam was History of Magic. And that's got to be a bore. That's always been a bore of a class anyways. And so that's your last one. I bet that was just straight, awful. But 1 hour of answering questions about batty old wizards who'd invented self-stirring cauldrons, and they'd be free for a whole wonderful week until their exam results came out. So what they did is sit around waiting for the exams to be graded.
Yeah. Okay. So continuing on, right? Like they kind of talk about Ron says like no more studying, right? They start showing on the grass. So they kind of just sort of get past the finals. It's just kind of briefly talked about because they're really heating up that we got to go get information on Fluffy.
Right.
And they sort of end up sort of building building that up, right? Harry can't sleep. He talks about his scar hurting, all of these things. Harry thinks has this thing in his mind, right? Like, hey, we need to go see Hagrid right now. He's like, don't you think it's a bit odd, said Harry, scrambling up the glassy slope, that what Hagrid wants more than anything else is a dragon, and a stranger turns up who just happens to have an egg in his pocket. How many people wander around with dragon eggs if it's against wizard law? And so then they go see Hagrid.
Right. Yeah, they're going to go down there and ask him, like, what's up? And this is where he's asking if they've got time for a drink. And then, they want to straight up question him about, like, who was the person that sold him Norbert? Is that going to give him any clues, right, as to whether that was Snape or someone associated with him? They're just sort of mystified by it. And they think the first layer of defense is Fluffy. And so if you wanted to kind of figure out how to get past Fluffy, well, you might get Hagrid drunk and sell him a dragon's egg and see if you couldn't get some information on him, which is exactly what he says happens. I can't remember too well because he kept buying me drinks. Let's see. Then he said he had the dragon's egg and we could play cards for it if I wanted, but he had to be, but then he goes on asking about Fluffy and so on. So he tells him that all you have to do is play a bit of music and out Fluffy goes. And
yeah,
you can get right past him. And they instantly are like, oh my, I mean, they just, Merlin's beard. They've got it now. They're flying back to the castle. We need to see Dumbledore right now. But guess what, Matt?
They don't have it figured out.
They don't have it, and he's not there. And it's just, where's Dumbledore when you need him? He's
never around. Do you think that was maybe like a tie-in to The Hobbit, right?
Oh yeah, like Gandalf. Yeah,
this is the first time you really need Gandalf. He's not there. What do they say? What do they say in the underrated animated one? Where the deuce is Gandalf?
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in forever.
Where the deuce is Dumbledore?
Where the deuce is he?
That's the title. That's the title for today's episode. Where the deuce is Dumbledore?
Oh my god. Yeah, he's just out. I guess he got called away to the Ministry of Magic or whatever.
How convenient.
Yeah, right. So, So what are you three doing inside? It was Professor McGonagall carrying a large pile of books. We want to see Professor Dumbledore, said Hermione rather bravely. Harry and Ron thought, see Professor Dumbledore, right? Why? Harry swallowed. Now what? It's sort of a secret, he said. A secret? What? He left 10 minutes ago. Wow, they just missed him. Urgent owl from the Ministry of Magic and flew off for London at once. And so then they go on to kind of talk about the Philosopher's Stone. And McGonagall's not. How do they know about it, right? How are they snooping around?
How did Dumbledore did Quirrell / Voldemort set Dumbledore up there to be sent off?
Yeah.
How come that's never expanded upon?
Right. I think it's one of those things you just kind of infer, like, that he totally set up some sort of, need or whatever for him to be there, or he just waited until Dumbledore was out and said, okay, now's the time to strike. They almost start to say Snape when they're talking to McGonagall. They almost start to say, like, I think I know how that someone's going to try and steal the stone. I've got to talk to Professor Dumbledore now. And so, they kind of go on. She's telling them just to kind of forget about it. And, but they can't. They can't forget about it. And they're supposed to be outside. Suspicious that they're inside. And that's what Snape and McGonagall are kind of catching on to. But, so this is where they decide to go through the trap door. They decide that it's up to us.
Yeah.
These three. First of all, I've been like, hey, I mean, they've spent so much time trying to uncover, like, the philosopher, like who made it, the connection to Dumbledore, all these things. And as the teacher, you're like, wow, put some of that effort, Ron, into the exams. Actually, Ron didn't put a whole, it's more Hermione.
How does he actually ever pass?
He's smarter than we give him credit for. He actually, but Well, he also has Hermione there. He's, she's always
in theory though. The funny thing is, it's like, I guess the real person who I think you think would struggle the most would be Harry, because Hermione like studies more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ron like grew up in the world. So Ron like walks in with the most amount of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and then it's like, and Harry doesn't have any of that knowledge, and then also seems to not study as much. So
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
Ron really that bad of a student that he doesn't know? You know what I mean? And then it's like sometimes Hermione seems like she knows more about things than Ron, which is often. And Ron grew up in this world. How does he not know some of these things?
Right. Right.
So it
Yeah.
really begins you to sort of question the intelligence level of certain people.
Right. Well, yeah. And you're right. It's good. That's a good thing to think about, right? Hermione comes in, knows that she's at maybe a disadvantage because she hasn't lived in the wizarding world and doesn't know, because there's some things just living there you might have picked up along the way, terminology, some
Right.
history, things like that. She's got a lot to catch up on. You feel like history of magic might be a bit easier for Ron, but if he's never opened a book, it's, but
Right.
maybe he's heard something from his brothers. But yeah, Harry definitely is the one who didn't dive into the books like Hermione and is just coming in there like, okay, I've gotta figure this out. And we really don't see him. We do see him studying a lot, but it's always at this urging of Hermione. And I don't know. I kind of like the dynamic that she's the one always trying to organize it. She wanted to actually go back in this chapter and do some revisions and almost like think back on their exams a little bit, right, and reflect on it. And they're like, we're
Right.
good. So yeah, they joke a little bit about the fact that they might stand outside or that they might pretend like they're waiting for Professor Flitwick, and they're trying to come up with reasons as to how they can get up to the corridor, right, and see if they can pop in there and get past Fluffy. And McGonagall's actually kind of looking out for it, and she's waiting for them to do that very thing. So yeah, and then Hermione tries to go through as well. But Snape kind of catches her and sends her along her way. So
Yeah, you might want
yeah,
to be more careful. So
right,
then they decide they need to use the invisibility cloak.
right, yep. Time to get into it. So yeah, man, that's what a great thing to have. The invisibility cloak, you can just pop it on. Dumbledore gave him that, right? So it's like Dumbledore gives him the cloak, and
Oh, that's okay. A lot. Yeah.
then they're off, and yeah, they're off down the
Yeah.
trap door.
Well, we can't skip over this real quick, right? Because right after the deal with Snape, he's like, here's what we've got to do, whispered. One of us has got to keep an eye on Snape. The other one's gotta wait. Why me? It's obvious, said Ron. You can pretend to be waiting for Professor Flitwick, He put on a high voice. Oh, Professor Flitwick, I'm so worried. I think I've got a question. I think I got question 14B wrong. Oh, shut up, said Hermione. She agreed to go like with him, right? Whatever.
Mhm.
But then Ron says later, where is it that he says that he said he doesn't think he's ever going to get thrown out because he got like too high of a grade. Flitwick told him he got like 114% on his test. Ron crushed that one.
Yeah. I don't remember that, but yeah, that's
Where's
kind
that
of
at?
cool.
I just saw it in the text, but yeah, Ron. I'll find that here.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second here.
You're mad you can't. After what McGonagall and Snape would say, you'd be expelled. Yeah.
Or no, oh no, sorry. It's no, right here. It says, but if we yeah, so we here. So Hermione says, how do you think you'd get to the stone without us? I'd better go look through my books. There might be something useful. But if we get caught, you two will be expelled too. Oh, so this is Harry, right? Sorry, excuse me. So it's
Yeah.
Hermione, right? Hermione says, Flitwick told me in secret that I got 112% on his exam. They're not throwing me out after that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're not.
Sorry,
They're
I
not.
thought it was Ron. Sorry, it's Hermione. That makes infinitely more sense.
I mean, that'd be sick. I think Ron could do it. It's just putting himself, into those books. And he really just kind of Ron's just not into school as much. He's just one of those. I
Right.
feel like I teach a lot of these students who are just sort of like, we want to do other things, and their mind wanders. He's into Quidditch. He's good. He can get through, but he just is, not passionate about it. Hermione's passionate about
Not his
learning.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. So they kind of move on here. They talk about losing points and the House Cup and what that's gonna, mean. And then Harry's throwing out Voldemort's name, man. He keeps throwing out his name and talking about how like this is important, and he's got to, possibly put a stop to this. Anyways, let's see. He glared at them. "You're right, Harry," said Hermione in a small voice. "I'll use the invisibility cloak," said Harry. "It's just lucky I got it back. But we'll cover all three of us. All three of us." "Oh, come off it. You don't think we'd let you go alone?" "Of course not," said Hermione briskly. And then so they basically agree they're all going to go under the cloak. And after dinner, they're going to roll to the trap door and head down, man.
Yeah. So right as they're getting ready to go down, here we go. We put the cloak on, Filch spots one of us, and then boom, here comes Neville, saving the day.
Let's go.
Well, trying to.
Yeah.
Right. Neville, you're not going out again. You're gonna cost us the house cup, which he's right. To be fair.
Yeah. It's this moment right here. Neville actually wins the house cup for him with these points he's earning right in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, that's the fun. They were tied, I think, or something like that, right? Unless that's just a movieism, but
Neville, I don't think you should be breaking any more rules. I mean, he's got a point.
Right.
I mean, imagine being in Gryffindor, like you're just like another Gryffindor student, and you're like doing your best, you're going through, you're trying to get everything done, do it right, and then you got these like people, these three people over here, just costing you point after point after point. I'd be like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And he says he'll fight him. He's going to fight him. He's ready to stand up to him to the point where he's like, yeah, I'm not letting you guys lose any more points. First, there's probably talk in the older grades. They're saying these first years are killing us,
Yeah.
Like they're just losing us so many points.
Imagine being like a 7th year student and you're like, never won the house cup. And then here's these 3 first years costing you all of your points.
Right. Be furious. Oh, yeah. It is Harry Potter. Seriously, Harry, we thought you were going to come in here and like, turn things around. It is cool that he's the seeker and stuff. Kind of makes up for it a bit, but and Ron's got older brothers in this very house, so they're kind of probably like, wow, what are you guys getting up to? So yeah, it's cool that Neville steps up and we get this full binding.
Propitious Totalis.
Yeah, which is cool. Hermione casting that on. I mean, that's just shows you that she's awesome and she's a boss. She knows all these different spells that you're like, when did they learn that?
Right.
So, yeah.
And then right here, boom. Okay, so as they're going down the stairs, Mrs. Norris is right there, and Ron says, "Oh, let's kick her." I mean, geez, Ron.
Well, yeah.
Trying to kick a cat.
You know what I was thinking too? So there's Mrs. Norris and then Mrs. Fig. So we were watching the Hogwarts Legacy stuff, and I thought, man, are they gonna do some like extra Easter eggs with like connections to, because the one professor is like Professor Fig or something. Yeah. And then I was thinking about like maybe a Mr. Norris somewhere down the line would be kind of cool. Just little tie.
Oh yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, just to kind of because there's always been some mystery around who is Mrs. Norris and Filch and the connection. Like, did she have a previous life or whatever? So yeah. But you get Mrs. Norris and Peeves both kind of popping up, right?
Peeves is a character who I totally forgot was even in the books because I hadn't because it's been so long since I read the books and I just watched the movies over and over again. This character, I was like, who's like, somebody was like, Peeves was like, who's that? I was like, oh yeah. Like totally forgot about him.
Right. Peeves and the Bloody Baron, right? And Harry kind of pretending that he's going to call the Bloody Baron to scare Peeves out of there, right? Because that's the problem. He's gonna right here he says, yeah, he had a sudden idea. Peeves, he said in a hoarse whisper, the Bloody Baron has his own reasons for being invisible, so he pretends to kind of be the Bloody Baron. Peeves almost fell out of the air in shock. He caught himself in time and hovered above a foot of the stairs. So sorry, your bloodiness, Mr. Baron, sir, he said. My mistake, I didn't see you. And it's like the only person who can really keep Peeves in check is the Bloody Baron.
Mm-hmm.
Your bloodiness.
Hey, where's Peeves and all these other people like during the Battle of Hogwarts?
Right. Yeah.
What are they doing?
Great question. Didn't see him much, did we? We saw the one well, we know Harry goes after the diadem, but we don't know where like the other ghost. It's sort of like, yeah.
Don't you think Peeves could have like, Voldemort's getting ready to cast a spell and Peeves like gets in his face and is like, oh, and then it's like causes him to shoot it the other way. I mean,
yeah, I feel like they are mentioned. I just can't remember exactly what they do. during that battle. You know, I feel like
Or
they,
just running away or something. I don't know.
yeah, are they just scaring? They're not that scary.
You can't do anything to him, can you? Can you kill a ghost? Can you like banish it? What do you?
Can petrify one, you know.
Yeah.
So in the next book, that happens, sort of. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. That's a really interesting thought. I have to go and look and see what happens to them later on because yeah, there's all those other facts. I mean, you know, McGonagall gets the freaking statues and the armor up and moving to
Right.
defend Hogwarts. So I feel like they had a role. I just can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, the Bloody Baron and Peeves would be uh would be something that would pester. I feel like Peeves did do something that was pestering. So
During the Battle of Hogwarts.
yeah,
We'll have to
because
go look that. I'll have to go look that up.
he's pestering the students all the time, you know, and stuff. So
I will look that up.
yeah, but okay. So I'll move us on while Matt looks that up. Let's see here. They scooted off. Brilliant Harry said, or Brilliant Harry, Ron said. We're almost there. They're Snape's already got past Fluffy. So they see the open door somehow. He had gotten past them. Underneath the cloak, Harry turned to the others. If you want to go back, I won't blame you. And yeah, they're like, don't be stupid. They get on in there. And what's that at its feet? Hermione whispered. It looks like a harp, said Ron. Snape must have left it there. So here we go.
Wow.
What, we got it?
Yeah, he did. He fights. Peeves
Yeah, he
fights
fights.
in the Battle of Hogwarts.
In the battle, yeah.
Yeah, right here. Peeves says, "We did it. We bashed them. Potter's the one, and Voldy's gone moldy, and so now let's have some fun." Says during the Battle of Hogwarts in 1988, Filch, albeit forcefully, and only after persuaded by McGonagall, invites Peeves to take part in the defense of the castle. Despite the long career in mischief and disregard for school authorities, Peeves rose valiantly for the occasion, willingly joining in the effort. When Death Eaters breached the school itself, Peeves sowed chaos in their ranks by swooping over their heads, dropping snarl-gruff pods on them as he went. He did nothing to bother or distract the defenders of Hogwarts, his usual targets. After the battle, he flew amongst the survivors singing a victory song. Let's go.
Awesome. Let's go, Peeves. That's where it's at. I know people get really kind of upset that he wasn't in the film, in the films more, and so they just
Yeah.
They cut him out, and yeah, it's too bad because he does have a lot of fun, kind of rhymey, you know, moments where he's making fun of professors or other ghosts or students, and then you know Voldemort, which is kind of awesome. So, all right, hey, so now we get to this point where they're about to drop down. They actually play the flute, which is cool. I kind of forgot, like it is something that's just playing in the film, but
Right.
they play this flute to help Fluffy go to sleep, and they like pass the flute among themselves. And Ron's about to jump down first, but Harry says, "No, I got it." Gives the flute to Hermione. She starts kind of playing on it, and like in those moments where they pass the flute around, you can see like you can hear Fluffy kind of like growl and twitch or whatever. But yeah, he climbed over. He looked down through the trap door. There was no sign of a bottom. Yeah, he lowers himself through the hole until he was hanging by his fingertips. And let's see. Oh, he looked up at Ron and said, "If anything happens to me, don't follow. Go straight to the Owlery. Send Hedwig to Dumbledore. Right, right. See you in a minute." So boom, he goes down. It's okay. He calls back up. He landed sprawled next to Harry. What is this stuff, right? I suppose it's here to break your fall. Come on, Hermione. And then yeah, we must be miles under the school. Luckily, this plant thing is here," said Ron. Lucky, right? Look at you both. And then this is where we realize that they're in Devil's Snare, right? They've got the snake-like tendrils twisting around their ankles. Their legs are already bound tightly, so it's not good. And what you want to do is move. You want to try to break free and all that stuff. But she's like, no, this is, you know, you need to actually stop moving and fall through it. But your instinct is to fight against it. And it's Ron who, this is a great moment in the film and in the book where he can't stop. He cannot stop from moving and twitching, and he just let this thing kind of pull him under. But yeah, Hermione saves the day here.
Yeah, and we see Devil Snare in the Hogwarts game. So I think we might see it. Like it might be a
Mhm.
thing we get to do, which could be cool because we see them like running through. I think almost underneath it, maybe.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome.
So okay, yeah. So then we get through the double snare, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember here. Right, light a fire.
Yeah. So this is where they get to the end of the passageway, and then they see this brilliantly lit chamber. These jeweled bright birds fluttering and tumbling all around the room. And then on the upper side, they got that heavy wooden door. They need a key to get through. So they have to kind of figure out which one. They try Alohomora. They look up at the birds, realize that they've got these, that they're actually keys, kind of flapping around, and they have to get on a broom and get the key, right?
Right.
Get through the
Yeah.
door.
Which Harry's able to do, right? Because this is sort of his specialty because he's the seeker.
Yeah.
And then also real quick on the devil's snare, I think it's different in the book and the movie. In the book, Ron does just sort of, right? He just sort of falls through. Where in the book, she uses
the
light, the luminous, yeah.
Right. Yeah, she doesn't use that here. That's what I was thinking, right? She
No, she doesn't.
let's see, are you a witch or not? Interrupted her one, muttered something in a jet a jet of the same blue bell flame she had used on Snape at the plant. In a matter of seconds, the two boys fell. It loosened its grip.
She does. No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so both of them fall through. But she doesn't really say the whole line about where we see her thinking through it and figuring it out.
Like the sun, yeah.
Right. And I guess it's both of them, right? So they're both still stuck up in there. So yeah, lucky you pay attention in herbology, Hermione, said Harry as they joined her by the wall, wiping sweat off his face. And lucky Harry doesn't lose his head in a crisis. There's no so then they kind of move on from there. But yeah, it's crazy. Each of these little tasks, it's really trying. This is quite a bit for first years a lot of pressure. To be under here.
Yeah. So we get the key and we're moving on. We move on to the next room, which is I think probably one of the most memorable things again from the books and the movie, which is the wizard's chess. And this is cool. So they each get like their own little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm good at this one. I'm good at this one. I'm good at this one. And then this is where Ron does the wizard's chess.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And Ron's the one thinking through it. They're each on their own piece. Now don't be offended or anything, but neither of you are that good at chess. We're not offended, said Harry quickly. Just tell us what to do. So Ron's like, all right, I got this. He's going to be the knight, and white always plays first, and then the white pawn moves forward 2 squares, and he starts to direct the black pieces and gets them going. So Harry moved diagonally 4 squares to the right, and he's just sort of leading the charge here. We're nearly there, he muttered suddenly. Let me think. The White Queen had turned her blank face towards him. Yes, said Ron softly. It's the only way. I've got to be taken. No, Harry and Hermione shouted. That's chess, snapped Ron. You've got to make some sacrifices. I'll make my move and she'll take me. That leaves you free to check the king, Harry. But do you want to stop Snape or not, Ron? Look, if you don't hurry up, he'll already have the stone. There was nothing else for it. Ready? Right. Here I go. Now don't hang around once you've won. So then he goes forward and with one desperate look back at Ron, Harry and Hermione charge through the door and up the next passage. What if he'll be all right, said Harry, trying to convince her. And so they move on. Right? They move on.
Yes, they do.
And this is where she stays in the film, right? And this is actually McGonagall this is Quirrell's spell and then Snape's. So they reach another door, they go in, a disgusting smell had filled their nostrils, their eyes are watering. And let's see. Yeah. Okay, so this is it. So the troll is there and it's out cold with a bloody lump on its head. Glad we didn't have to fight that one, Harry said. So they kind of get past that one, no problem, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go into the next room, Snape's. They step over the threshold and immediately fire sprang up behind them in the doorway. It wasn't ordinary fire either. It was purple. At the same instance, black flames shot up in the doorway, leading onward. Look, Hermione seized a roll of paper lying next to the bottles. Harry looked over his shoulder to read it. And again, this is the kind of riddle or puzzle they have to get through with 7 bottles, right? 3 are poison, 2 are wine. 1 will get us safely through the black fire, and 1 will get us back through the purple. But how do we know which to drink? Give me a minute. Hermione's got this, right? So she's thinking through. Got it. The smallest bottle will get us through the black fire towards the stone. Harry looked at the tiny bottle. There's only enough there for one of us, he said. That's hardly 1 swallow. Which one will get you back through the purple flames? And then, so anyways, it comes to it that he drinks the one to get him through, and Hermione's good to kind of go back because it has to be him, Matt. It has to be Harry.
It does.
He's got to go on, right?
Yeah, it does. And I don't think that. I always forget, honestly. Like once they get past Wizard's Chest, like how do they get in the movie? How does it just end up being Harry?
Yeah, so it's like Ron's laying there, and Hermione is like saying,
right, like I'll take care of him. You got to go.
Yeah, you got to go,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And then so they don't do like the
this extra step here. Yeah.
They don't think
they skip over 2 things, like the troll and then Snape's sort of test. So yeah.
Question here as on TikTok from user Fleur and Bill. Do you guys think you would have been able to solve that riddle?
Oh my gosh. No. Not even close. Not even close. Yeah, there's no way. That's funny. That's what I say. Like for a first year, that's a pretty big test, That's a lot to get through. So
which of those 3 do you think you'd be better at the getting past the devil's snare, or do you think you'd be better at getting past the wizard's chest?
Yes, let's go, man. Former president of chess club back at Mount Vernon High School, friends. The president, okay? Matt was there. He was one of our deputies. What was your title? Did we give you a title back in the day? Everybody had a title.
Everybody had a title, and everybody had a position, so that way we could all put it on our college resumes that we were officers of our chess club.
That's right. Yeah.
Me and smart. Lucas Maggard were security.
Security. Oh, that's awesome. I remember when we came up with the idea of chess club, and our buddy Tom was there, and I came up with the idea first. And so since I came up with it and I pushed it forward, it came down to who was president, and I was like, you can be vice. Right. Because he was there in Miss Brandis's room. We were talking through it. It was just hilarious, man. It was more of a game club. But yeah, I think that would have been mine. I don't know that you probably would have been well on the broom, chasing down the key.
Yeah, probably.
We both would have not got through that potions thing, though. There's no way.
We'd be screwed.
We'd be done.
Okay. All right. So final chapter here, chapter 17, the man with 2 faces, right? It was Quirrell.
Yeah.
You gasped, Harry. All right. Quirrell smiles, his face. But I thought it was Snape. Now, honestly, this is one of the coolest chapters because it sets up so much, not just of like this book, but the rest of the series. I think in that right here again, you have it being Snape, right? Thinking, oh, it's Snape. Snape's the bad guy. That's something you're always going to be thinking, especially on your first read through, right? It's Snape. It's Snape. The stuttering Professor Quirrell, and then we're going to get to he takes off the head, and we get that it's right, Voldemort's there.
Mm-hmm.
We learn basically everything we've thought around the whole book is oh, Miss Granger knocked me over accidentally as she tried to set fire to Snape at the Quidditch. She broke my eye contact with you, so it was really him. You're too nosy to live, Potter, screwing all this. You let the troll in. Basically everything that we've thought could have been somebody along the way was actually not the case. So certainly interesting. And as also just a quick thing here, your phone on the TikTok live, I think maybe there we go.
The phone is just dying,
guys. Yeah.
The
phone
man, dude. Yeah, because I only have one. Stupid Apple phones, man. They only have one, like headphone microphone thing. Yeah,
right.
So
I know. Same with mine. Mine's at about. That's okay. Mine's at about 62%. So just rolling.
I got to charge it at night.
So that's okay. Yeah. So we just the whole TikTok live thing's kind of new, but that's okay because we're about to wrap up here. Because honestly, this final chapter it's pretty straightforward. I mean, a lot of what we see in the movie and a lot of just everything we sort of see here is it's pretty much just we end up doing the mirror right? With
Yeah.
with the stone and then the fire, and then we take him out.
Yep.
There's no good and evil, there's only power and those who wish to seek it. So that's certainly a really cool line from Quirrell here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The
but
only
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, a couple things that I think are just kind of cool. He does mention like that your dad and Snape went to school together. He hates your dad, but he never wanted you dead. And it's like, okay, yeah, he never wanted Harry dead. That's like said by Quirrell. And he's like, but I heard you crying and stuff. He's like, oh, my master's a great wizard. All these things. We'll kind of blitz through some of that stuff, but it was just kind of cool to hear him talk about Voldemort. Know that Quirrell has this special control, or he has a speciality with trolls, which is
Hmm.
interesting. Like that's how he brought one in. He's able to take one out pretty easily. All those different things because we don't really get a lot on Quirrell, and then especially in the when we're we're so kind of inundated with the films and we're so used to kind of experiencing those. When you come back to this, anything that jumps out, well, what jumps out to me, I guess, is that Quirrell was more than we think he was. He
Right.
had some gifts, some special powers and stuff, and he is working for Voldemort. I mean, he's
Yeah.
you know,
And I think this one's kind of interesting too, because we see Voldemort essentially using somebody. And then our next encounter is like Voldemort himself, right? Through the chamber and everything. So you begin to kind of see that it's not just like, I think the whole time it's been like the fear of Voldemort coming back is like Voldemort himself, whereas this is, I mean, in this he totally takes advantage of Quirrell, but then later it's other people are actually working alongside of and with him is kind
mhm,
of the thing, and that's where it begins to get bigger and bigger.
right. Yep, exactly. Yeah, this is neat. You get, I mean, some of the bits here about the elixir of life and the trick that Dumbledore uses with the mirror is pretty cool. And Harry actually facing Voldemort in the first book. I mean, that's just sometimes we forget that he does really face him here and attacks Quirrell, and the power that's in his blood, that's in his that is the protection that his mother gave to him is used right here. I mean, Matt, a professor dies.
Yeah.
Like, is
Yeah,
Hogwarts
that's
safe? They start asking these
no.
questions
And
later
that
on, but it's
and
like,
and that defense against the dark arts is not doing so good.
right, yeah. So anyway, just kind of wild. Yeah. So he felt Quirrell's arm wrench from his grasp, knew all was lost, and fell into blackness, down, down, down. And then yeah, when he wakes up, he's actually Albus Dumbledore is there, and calm yourself, dear boy. You are a little behind the times. Quirrell does not have the stone. Then who does, sir? Harry, please relax, or Madame Pomfrey will have me thrown out. So they've taken him back up here, and they're kind of taking care of him. What happened down in the dungeon between you and Professor Quirrell is a complete secret. So naturally, the whole school knows. I believe your friends, Mr. Fred and George Weasley, were responsible for trying to send you a laboratory seat. No doubt they thought it would amuse you. Okay. So he's just kind of waking up in this daze, looking around at the stuff that's been sent to him, and people have been, worried about Harry and is he okay?
Right.
Yeah. So 3 days. He's been there for 3 days.
Right. And then another sort of cool takeaway here is I like the end, right? Well, you got some things. So Dumbledore tells Harry, don't have fear in a name, right? As he calls him Voldemort. And then I just really like the end too is kind of funny as he goes all the way back, and he's with when the Weasleys meet Uncle Vernon, right? And it's
Mhm.
like he's like just kind of funny. He's like, is Uncle Vernon still purple faced, still mustache, looking furious the night of Harry? He's like, you must be Harry's family, said Mr. Weasley. In a matter of speaking, said Uncle Vernon. And then it's just kind of it. It's just one of those things that we never get him going back to the Dursleys ever in any movie at the end, ever.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. You know something I kind of forgot. So we do have the whole touching his face and the blistering and the pain, all that kind of stuff.
right,
But it's actually Dumbledore that pulls him off. And Dumbledore says that like he got there just in time to pull Quirrell because he felt Quirrell's arm. Um, yeah, because he's like they're fighting and he's kind of like still fighting through the pain of Harry touching him, and it's actually Dumbledore who he says I got there just in time. I arrived just in time to pull Quirrell off you. It was you. I feared I might be too late. You nearly were. I couldn't have kept him off the stone much longer. Not the stone, boy, you. The effort involved nearly killed you. For one terrible moment there, I was afraid it had. As for the stone, it has been destroyed. So just kind of cool to think that Dumbledore was the one who popped back in there and actually, got there just in time.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah. So that is a Sorcerer's Stone.
Right.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to kind of revisit probably especially a lot of this last bit too in the movie because we're going to do the movie next.
Yes. Yeah, we could talk about the freaking the scandal that was the dealing out of points and the last little bit here of just sort of wrapping up their time there at school, because awarding the House Cup and everything is it's very funny. And I love the memes that are out there. People have talked about it for years. Dumbledore and his favoritism towards the Gryffindors and all that good stuff.
It is. He does have a favoritism towards the Gryffindors. So, okay, awesome. All right, guys. Well, hey, with that, I want to thank you for using the flu to hang out with us. In our next episode, we will be discussing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the film.
Yep. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us an owl at elderwandpod@gmail.com.
We will see you soon, and remember to have your wands at the ready.